All right, guys, so this is my portion of the show. I know. Are you guys sick of hearing from me? All right, so this is kind of the marketing portion. Marketing is a big, aspect of your chapter because you need new pilots, right? And you want to grow and just become a better group and you provide more for the community and more for the sport, right? But how are you gonna reach out to these pilots and get them to show up at your events and come, right? It's about spreading word of mouth. And there's a couple different ways that you can do this. I mean, marketing is just a discipline with different silos. There's public relations, there's advertising, there's branding. There's all these different silos and all these different disciplines that you can focus on. So today we're just going to touch on three. There's public relations, dealing with reporters, getting the word out that way and generating coverage to your market. Also branding, and then sponsorship. Because sponsors, once you do a good job at marketing, you have an opportunity for sponsors to come into your chapter, maybe make some money that you can then pump back into your chapter, or prizes, because a lot of the time with sponsorship we're getting prizes and providing more value for our events. A little bit about me. I'm a marketing professional. Went to school for it. Been doing this for about 12 years in all different aspects. Mostly deal with real estate, PR, a lot of crisis communication, celebrity. And whatever pops up, basically. Also advertising and digital media. And now I'm applying my skill set to this awesome new industry. So I'm just excited as you guys are. So onward. So I'll be focusing on public relations. This is a very brief overview of it, and I just want you guys to remember a couple points that you can take with you to generate relations and kind of manage any public relations inquiries you get. So what is public relations? We know there's people out there that do it professionally, and we know there's reporters and all this stuff out there, but what is PR? Okay, Webster defines PR as, this is actually off Google, but the professional maintenance of a favorable public image by a company or other organization or a famous person. So what does that mean? It means that no matter who you are, or what you do, you have this other image or perception of what people think you are. And there's people out there, and you can do certain things to manage that image of you. So we see this all the times with celebrities, but how does that apply to your group or MultiGP for that matter? So we're constantly monitoring what people are saying about our organization, because that's really important, because we might think we're doing a good job, but if other people don't, there's an issue there, and we need to fix it, and we need to communicate, right? And same thing for your chapter. If you're, maybe you have 15 guys show up at your race, and you're pretty good at managing 15 guys, but one weekend you have 40 guys show up, and you're like, oh my God, I'm overwhelmed. And then, those new guys that came in might say they don't know how to run races, and I'm probably going to go to this other event or whatever. It's kind of a PR issue you need to address. It's kind of what PR is, just a general overview of how it applies to your chapter. So I like to think of two different ways, just to boil it down. There's proactive and reactive. So proactive is when you get your word out there. You put out a press release, you're proactive about getting your message out there. Hey, I have a race going on. I'm going to send out a press release, I'm going to put out a calendar listing, and I'm going to tell everyone about it to try to generate coverage. Or maybe I made some kind of record. Maybe I just put 100 drone racers through a race last weekend, and I want to tell people about it. So I'm going to put that out into the market. That's proactive. Okay, so now you have this cool thing that you want to tell everyone. How do you do it? And how do you generate coverage? The simplest way, a simple approach, is to, one, create a list in your market. So when you guys are reading magazines in your market, local magazines, local newspapers, local bloggers, any other media sites, write down that reporter's name. Google that reporter's name, find out their email address, find out their Twitter handle, and put it in a list. If you see a guy in your local newspaper do an article on some other technology, a new technology product that came out in your market, write that guy's name down, put it on your list. Because when you have something to tell, you have this list ready to go and you could email them what you want to tell them. It's as simple as that. You don't need to subscribe to some service if you're a large organization for what we're doing. A lot of the stories come from human interest and making relationships with the local reporters. They're people just like us. They want something to talk about. They have a job. They have to write about something. Give them something to write about. Call them up, write them an email. Okay, so your pitch. When you have something to say, that's your pitch, right? And now you have it, how are you going to pitch it? How are you going to tell the reporters and everyone about it that you had something cool, and how are they going to receive it? There's traditional ways. The 3 traditional ways, boiled down simply, are calendar listings, press releases, and media alerts. These are simple one-page documents, depending on on what you're announcing, that get their attention. They don't have to be the full story, but they're one-pagers where a reporter says, hey, this is something cool. I want to write about this. And it simply gets their attention. There's a couple ways of doing this. The best way to do it now is via email, okay? Social media, a lot of reporters are doing social media. So if you have, say, a Twitter account, and a lot of them use Twitter from what I'm finding. So if you have a story, rate it up on Twitter, put a little post, but then tag them in it if they have a Twitter handle. A lot of the times you can't even find email addresses for reporters anymore, but they'll post their Twitter handle. And that's what they're using now. I haven't used that method a lot. I'm a little bit more traditional with email and then a phone call. That seems to be the most effective because you can control it, in my opinion, a little bit more. You can stay on them. So just a couple examples of what a calendar listing, a press release, and media alert is. Now again, I'm not giving a course on this, but I just want to show some examples of the differences. Okay, so this is a media advisory that we put out for our finals, and this was a template. Very key information, but for a media advisory / media alert, they're the same thing. It's who, what, when, where, why. They want to know those facts right like that. This is exactly how you do it. You copy and paste this, and you fill it in. Okay? Then at the bottom, you have your contact information at the top, and a boilerplate at the bottom. Any photo or video opportunities, because a reporter may not come out if it's kind of boring. So we have a cool opportunity. You can get good video, good photos. It makes a better story, a better piece, because that's their job, is to write about it, right? And put a good visual out there. So put it in there. Tell them about it. You can write these yourselves. Our goal is to provide you with templates. We've done an okay job this past year, but we need to do a better job at getting you more tools and putting it out there. So when we have releases like this for regional championships, you simply go up to the red verbiage, put in your information, send it to your local market. Done. And then all you have to do is the legwork on staying on your reporter to make them come out. Make sure they read it, and get them to come out. So that's a media advisory. There's plenty of other examples you can, go off of as well. Okay, a press release. A press release is just a media advisory, a little bit more fleshed out, okay? This is one that is actually released this week. It's actually going through AMA. We're working with them to go out. We've reached 10,000 members with MultiGP, which is a pretty important milestone, right? So we want to tell everyone about that. This is our pitch, right? And we're also holding the nation's largest drone racing series this weekend. So we, right? So we want to tell people about that. So within this, there's just a little bit more. We have some quotes from Chris in there. We have a quote from myself. Because another trend that we're seeing is a lot of these bloggers, a lot of the online reporters do a lot of cutting and pasting. They may not want to call me and say, hey, what's really going on? And they may not want to do a story, but they might cut and paste my press release and put it on their blog, which I'm fine with. You know, just as long as I get them good information and it is what it is, I got coverage, right? Yeah, I want them to call me and find out a little bit more and maybe hold an interview, and then I can email them some pictures of the event. You know, that's a home run if it's the right publication, whatever. But this works. Again, email it out, make a phone call to the reporter, say, hey, did you get my press release? Remind them. If it's an event that you're having on the weekend, a good thing to do is also call the news desk. The general news desk number, I don't care who it is. Just call them up and say, hey, I sent you guys a press release last week. Did you get it? They're going to say no. And say, well, I have an event going on this week. It's really cool. It's a drone racing event. It's technology. Come on out. There's good video opportunities. And sometimes what happens is if it's a slow news weekend and they need stuff to do, we'll come out. But it's just staying on top of them and reminding them that I have something going on. Come see it and, you know, come cover it. All right, so enough of that.
Just don't get the live truck stuff.
The what?
We got the live, they had their live truck, their satellite van, and I was like, oh yeah, it's just a van. I kind of forgot there was like thousands and thousands of pounds of equipment in it, and they came out and it got stuck. And
that was the story then? The news truck got stuck? And there's no, you know, right way of, you know, there is a right way of doing PR, but it's kind of one of those things, it's almost like sales, you know? If you got it to work, good job. You know what I mean? If there's another way of doing it and you made a special relationship with a reporter and they want it texted to them, do that. It's all about the reporter reporting to their editor, right, their boss, and putting it in their publication. Okay, so then there's reactive public relations. So this is when we all have these chapters, and this is when a reporter calls you up and says, hey, I heard you guys race drones. You know, the FAA just put out all these regulations and we want to come do a story on you. So you're reacting, you're like, whoa, wait a second, what do I do? Usually I get a Facebook message and they're like, Mike, what do I do? You know, and the first thing I say is, be responsive, get back to them, ask what the subject and angle of the story is, because staying up on current events is very important. Because if you know that Forbes article hit about 107, usually that trickles down into smaller markets. If there's a big national story, the other markets are looking for stuff to write about, and if it becomes a hot topic, they're going to want to reach out on a local level and talk about it more. So the best part about this, you're always in control. You don't have to say yes. You know, if somebody calls you up and you don't feel comfortable with it, just tell them, say, this isn't, something that, we want to be a part of. You have to be careful of how you say things, because they want to say the local drone racing league didn't want to be a part of this story. Typically they won't do that, but as you get deeper in, I think you'll be all right. But for instance, this was a Pittsburgh story. These are some of my pilots for the Today show that we did in Pittsburgh. This is when the regulations came out last November. So I was there myself, brought two of my pilots there with me, and we did training beforehand to get a hobbyist perspective of what was going on, because they wanted to focus on the commercial aspects, and we said, wait a second, this stuff's going to affect the hobby stuff too. So we drove out there. I took my two guys with MultiGP gates and flags, and we went out there and we set up a table, and I waited till there was a lull in the reporting, and we said, hey, wait a sec, don't forget about us. Don't forget about us. And the guy had, you know, the reporter had no idea. It was two camera guys and one reporter, and they were getting B-roll to basically give up to their editing team and make a story out of, right? You know, we have stuff to say. We'll give you more B-roll, you know. So they filmed us. But you're in control. Remember that. You don't have to do anything you don't want to do or talk about anything you don't want to talk about. Which brings us to, if you want to talk about it, how do you prepare for the interview? Okay? Yeah, we prepared. All right. We met at Sheets beforehand and we went over talking points. Yeah. And it's as simple as that, but the things you want to remember are develop 3 talking points. Because what happens in a news interview? Boil down, they're going to ask you 20 questions and they're going to put one of your answer, if not a your full answer on the news, right? They're going to take the snippet they want and run with it, okay? So, but you have so much to say, right? You want more than one sentence to get on there, but the reality is it's not going to happen. So how do you try to help ensure that your message does get across? You develop 3 talking points. So if you want to focus on, you know, with this story, it was about safety, it was about hobbyists and how it was going to be effective, and it was about how much fun drone racing was, because we wanted to get MultiGP out there. So what I did is, this is Joe and Andy. They're actually racing this weekend. You'll meet these guys. They're from Pittsburgh. Bozy on the left, Archie FPV on the right. And we practiced those 3 talking points because I didn't want myself on the camera. We wanted actual pilots on there because it looks cool with the goggles. We wanted drone racing to get out there a little bit more. But I knew they were going to be on camera. And these guys, you know, they're not you know, PR guys. So they needed some training. So we practiced those points. No matter what question the reporter asks you, you put in one of those 3 points. So, and it's going to get redundant because if they ask you 15 questions, you know, 5 questions are going to have education or safety in there. What are the 3 I said? Safety in there, having fun, and drone racing, right? So, and they're going to catch on to that, but it doesn't matter because you know they're only going to use 1, and that's the important part. So no matter how they phrase their question, you're going to say, you know, because we're, you know, part of a community-based organization that regulates what we do. That would be like a safety talking point that you would put before or after you answered their question. Does that make sense?
Totally.
Okay.
It's like Saturday Night Live's subliminal messages.
It is.
You know?
It is. Yeah. It so is.
What I'm talking about?
Because it's the only way you're going to get it across. And they know the game. They know they're going to ask you what your name is, what you do, you know, what are you guys doing? They're going to ask you all these fun questions to get you talking, right? And then they're going to start maybe asking you questions about the angle of the story, and then you're like, oh, because you're talking, now you're talking, right? They're going to try to like feed you what the story's about. But you're going to stay strong, stick to your talking points, and go with it. Okay? It's as simple as that.
Wouldn't you also say keep it short?
Yes.
It's got to be short and simple because the sound bites are always how many seconds long. So you can go over your 3 talking points for 5 minutes, but they're only going to take 7 seconds of it or 10 seconds or whatever. So
right.
From personal experience.
Yeah.
Been there, done that.
Exactly. Yeah. And you want to it's all about practice. The more you do it, I wouldn't say the easier. It's never easy because you've got the world, this camera in front of you with the world behind it. But the more you practice, the better you get at it, and the more you can kind of hopefully tailor your message. Prepare visuals, very important because, especially for video, go out there with your gates, go out there with your flags, and set them up. Because if they're coming to your event, you're going to tell them where you want to do the interview. So if this is my flag, we're going to do the interview right over here. Come over here. We're going to set up right here. Tell them where you want to do it. Get your logo in the background. You know, make sure your guys look good. You know, you're going to be on camera. Okay? So tell them what to do. So as you can see, that's what we did here with a little MultiGP gate right in between both of their heads. So we got, not only did we get that, we had the drones flying around the flags on the Today Show, which was pretty cool, you know. And it was a regulation story, you know, and we were able to kind of weed it in. And that's it. That's it. You know, those are some simple things that I hope you guys can use. Again, you can go in very deep and do your own research and everything. There's a lot of different ways of doing it, different angles and approaches. I'm sure some of you have had training in the past for different things, but you know, these are simple things I hope you guys can take and use. Any questions?
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Next up, we have Jefte Puente. Jefte is our marketing branding guy. He is our chief brand officer for MultiGP. He creates all the graphics, all the UTT graphics.
Yeah, I thought I said Jefte.
Yeah, that's so it's Jefte Puente in Spanish. I will answer to Jefte, silent J like Jose, Jefte. If you call me Cinch Sack, I'll probably turn my head, say hello. So yeah, I'm the chief brand officer. Long story short, I push colors around a screen. I'm a pixel monkey by trade. About a year and a half ago, my flying club, multirotor club, had a meeting, and this crazy guy named Chris came out. And ever since then, I've been working with him to brand the organization. So pretty much every piece of art you've seen, flyers, I've probably created flyers for many of you, for some guys the same flyer many times. But I love doing it, and the reason that we do request that you guys send the flyers to us is so that we can maintain a persistent brand across the flyers. You guys are organizers, you may have various skills. I'll tell you, making flyers is not one of them. Okay, it hurts, but the truth hurts. So, I see a hodgepodge of different size sponsor logos, haphazardly, not any kind of organization, different fonts and colors. You may notice that our course out here is all very well branded in the MultiGP reds and blues. That's something you...
Nope, we fixed that.
They came through. They came through.
Why do you think we showed up late?
Exactly why you pointed that out yesterday.
Yeah.
It's like that red. I'm like,
It's got to be on brand, and you can take these same ideas to your local club. I've seen a lot of great chapter clubs, so there's some great artists out there. Frankly, I like the St. Louis Whirlybirds because it's a funny name. I've seen some really cool chapter logos out there. Stick with it. Use it across all your stuff. I've seen guys put on T-shirts, like the other guys, great T-shirts. So try to keep consistent in your branding. Don't stretch or pull logos to make them fit. Okay, don't take a logo and squeeze it in here. Don't try to reproduce some font that you saw. If you need something, reach out to me. I have all the graphics that you'll ever need that are MultiGP branded. I can even help you a little bit with your own. A lot of guys have reached out to me to make trophies. So if you want your division icon, 5A, 4B, etc., I can get that to you. A lot of guys have put it, engraved it on their trophies. It looks great, and it's a good way to kind of build that camaraderie of your division. I'd like to see some rivalries start to crop up between divisions. Hopefully, we'll see some of that here. That's right. This event also kind of marks the soft release of our latest incarnation of the logo. You may notice this icon across all the flags and various gates. It's not a drastic departure from the existing MultiGP logo, but we're trying to drive home this icon as a representation of the organization. It's no Nike swoosh, but you will see this icon more and more. You've seen it more and more, and it's all over the course. T-shirts that you'll be seeing here shortly as well. That said, I don't really have a whole lot more on my topics here. Try to keep again, logos tight. Try not to crowd logos. Again, reach out to me. and I'll help you out as much as I can. Again, next year we're going to be running the same regional series, so we're going to be creating a lot of flyers. So I'm sure I'll be dealing with a lot of you guys. We have a form where we can collect your info. I'd like to do more flyers for your guys' one-off events. I know you guys have fun flies you'd like to promote and stuff. As my workload varies, I can kind of do that. So I know that not many of you know me, but those that have experienced me online probably know me as a bit of a asshole. Yep. So I own up to it. So I didn't have my slides prepared, but I have a very limited edition, haphazardly created coupon that is available to the first 6 people who I have wronged online in some way. And what this basically says is that I am wrong, and you can present this coupon to me at any time, and I will admit that I am wrong and you are correct, and you'll feel better for it. Let's go ahead and start pass out some of these stickers. Take one, pass one down. We got lots more stickers. You guys come see me for your coupons. Hey.
Good job. I need all of them.
Take all 5. I'll 6.
Great, Todd. Take all 6.
Jefte, thank you so much. I reached out to you twice. You get back to me within 10 minutes, making trophies. By the way, I like the sharp trophies, so I'm not going to change that.
They literally look sharp and figurative. Yeah.
And
Very pointy. And I love seeing when chapters reach out and they want the graphic assets. I'm proud of my work. Great. As I'm sure a lot of you are. So seeing the logo on your trophies and T-shirts is something that warms my heart. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
All right. All right. Next up, more stickers. Trust me, we have plenty. You'll get them. Yeah. All right, guys. Next up, we have Todd Wahl. He is the founder of the Drone Racing Club out of Atlanta, right? Yep. And these guys do an bang-up job with sponsorship, marketing, branding, everything all at once. So Todd's going to focus. Yeah, look at the shirt. Yeah, look at that shirt.
Yeah.
So
you got to join the club. So.
Todd's going to talk to us about sponsorship today.
So, just hold it or what? That'll work. Yeah, cool. All right, did I mess it up? Okay, so sponsorship, right? I mean, so how many people here have raised money for an event or done some sort of sponsorship of the club or whatnot? So a few, a good many, yeah, not too bad. So kind of the challenges, right, of trying to source those individuals, or the companies or whoever it is, right, to bring them in. Are they industry specific? Are they local? What are they? And the variety that you have to choose from. So, and a lot of times it can be troublesome, right? I mean, so some of these, for us as the Drone Racing Club, it takes time, money, and resources to put on these events, without a doubt. So, I've got 4, 5. Okay. Dang it. Anyway, all right. So there's a funny thing behind this. Anyway, exactly. Right? You got it? Okay. All right. Make it a mental note. Here we go. All right. So.
Increase the difficulty level.
Exactly. All right. So why seek sponsorship? It's over. Okay. So let me get my train of thought back here, okay? So, promoting, okay? Now, does that clear in your throat count? Okay, good, okay, I'm right. So cross-promotion is a big deal. And so when you seek out sponsorship, part of, that was not a so anyway, I saw his hand go like that. You've got to leverage the relationship. Right? So in order to leverage the relationship, it's called cross promotion. And so, and that you use both, I'm sorry, The physical elements of cross promotion, the digital elements of cross promotion. Funding, of course, everybody needs funds. Like I said, it takes time, money, and resources. As far as funding is concerned, it can be time, money, and resources from those sponsor sources. And so you want to think about, what does it take to put on the event? It doesn't always take cash, but a lot of times with us as growing chapters and clubs from the start, it's more about time and resources. And then if you can get cash on top of that, that always helps. But a lot of times it's in-kind stuff. The assets, right? Assets are always important. So anytime I do an event, I'm always calculating, what do I have? What do I need to put on the event and make it look, professional? And so you need to be thinking like that as well. Sponsorship can absolutely supply assets for you that are, have staying power, things you can reuse on a regular basis. So an asset, hey, MultiGP is a sponsor, honestly, in all regards. You get flags, you get gates, you get banners. Those are things that you want to have there and available at every event. Recognition builds value in the club through the brand itself. So, we had the discussion earlier about the marketing aspect, the brand awareness. It goes both ways. So you have to represent not only yourselves, have a recognizable logo or a name or something like that you put out there, but also for the sponsorship itself, those folks are very interested in their brand position, and you have to represent really well on the brand side. Of course, it helps, right? It helps promote the sport at FPV. You want to do it in a positive light, and yeah, you're not marking it down. You missed that one there. So
I just had to walk.
you had to walk. Okay. So helping promote the sport itself, sponsorship, events, all those tie together. So I'm just going off crazy. All right. What are sponsors looking for? So let's talk about that. Exposure, views, clicks, right? Inquiries, brand recognition, brand association. Ultimately, they want their investment to get a return, to change those potential clients into clients, right? So you have to be really mindful of that, honestly. And that's where a lot of us in what I consider what's operational maturity of what we are as a league or a sport or as a chapter, as a club, you really have to work that angle. Otherwise, you're going to run out of opportunities to cross-promote and sponsor alliances. I call them alliances because it needs to be a symbiotic relationship. And I hate to say it, but you have to pay homage to those that are enabling us to develop the sport and spread the word. So without these, and they can be industry-specific folks, they can be individuals, they all help contribute as a sponsorship. So, all right. When you're developing your sponsor, introduction or sponsor letter, what you want to do is ensure that you outline individual, let's say, directors. Like we have a director group in our drone racing club. I've got 6 or 7 directors that have role and responsibilities. And what we do is a lot of times if we're approaching sponsors, we want them to get to know who those people are. So we're not some fly-by-night group. Everybody has a mission to contribute to FPV sports as a whole and the event or the club itself. And it looks like you're organized, right? I mean, it doesn't look like you're organized. You're going through the steps of being organized and saying, hey, your money's going to be well spent with us, or your time, your effort, your resources are going to be well spent with us. What do you do actively every single month? Some of our clubs are more active than others. That's what they want to know too. So you're trying to, add to or anticipate what their questions are going to be. If you're doing racing workshops, public speaking demonstrations, that also are things and elements you need to target as far as your club or your chapter is concerned to not only draw in potential members, but also draw in sponsors as well. So yeah, I'm doing good. So all right, let me get back on track here. My mind is blown here.
I'm really giving you passes.
Thank you, I appreciate that. All right, so when is your event to be sponsored? You have to specify that. You'd be surprised how many times I sent out a sponsor packet early on that didn't have the event date clearly outlined or the location, right? Where are you holding the event, the location aspect? You know, how often do you have events? And how do you attract the attendees? Is it a pilot festival? Are you embracing spectators? Are you embracing the sponsors themselves? And you know, we've had some situations in the past where, and I won't mention any names, but some big events that put sponsors above pilots. I think it's a formula for success, right? You have to have the pilot element. You have to have the sponsor element. You have to have the club and the chapter and of course the league aspect, but you also have to have the spectator element too. And so the sponsors were very interested though in that interaction, whether it be partially in person or online. It's part of the reason why I'm actually a co-founder of the fpvlife.tv, was to try and embrace that aspect of the digital component and the outreach beyond that little section of Atlanta, and try and draw people into our races. So so when I say the 4 W's and 1 H, and Michael actually mentioned it earlier, that's an old take off of you know, journalism or literature, you know, writing an article, is you anticipate what the questions are, the who, what, when, where, why, how often, whatever, to what extent, is what you kind of go with the anticipation of anything I'm going to provide in this information package or this article or this email or this letter is hopefully going to answer those questions, right? And hopefully get them to push to ask more or to a call to action, okay? So, well, ways to communicate those 4 W's and 1 H. It's, you know, we live in a digital world. In-person meetings aren't always happening very often. Email, letter, brochure, PDF media kit. We use a PDF media kit, which is in essence like a slide deck per page that conveys this type of information, the bios, the who, what, when, where, how often. So defining your sponsorship offering is important. So what you want to do is figure out what are the outlets ahead of time that you're going to be able to cater to or deliver to. And so, you know, more often than not, there's a digital element and there's a physical element. And so the digital elements, honestly, you got to think of it this way. The physical elements, it's great to have banners, it's great to have flags. It's great to have them there in person in a tent if they're going to represent it as a sponsor. But honestly, the digital element, you know, like they say everything, if it goes to the website or goes online, goes in social media, it lives forever, right? Which helps to, I guess, multiply the exposure aspect. And so, honestly, some of the biggest selling points are more digital elements than they are the physical elements. The physical elements can kind of go in tandem, but just know that you got two parts that you need to deliver on. The sponsorship package levels, hey, the easiest way to do it is to value them based on precious metals. Everybody picks this, you know, the platinum, the silver, the gold, whatever. And so if you look at it, and a lot of times the sponsors don't necessarily want to give you cash, so what you try and do is say, hey, look, we'll do product or service, or another spin that I've put on it is, hey, forget about product, because we don't want to force feed the product to somebody. You know, maybe they don't want that motor because it doesn't fit that person that wins, and then they're relegated to either giving it away or selling it themselves, or it goes sitting somewhere. Better for them to provide an e-gift certificate. Why not do that? I mean, it's the same thing. In essence, they save the money on the product aspect because that's what they're looking for. They've got stock they need to get rid of, and the cost aspect in contrast to the value aspect, is usually 30 to 40% difference. So that's why I say try and split it up. Allow them an opportunity to have product or services or gift certificates in trade. And it needs to be comprehensive, and that's why I say you tier it. A lot of times platinum you only do one, right? But silver or gold you'll have more, and we'll get into kind of the targeting aspect and the elements as well. So everybody tends to run to industry folks for sponsorship of drone races. We're not going to last long because I'm telling you, the industry folks, a lot of the hobby shops don't have necessarily the margins, or maybe it's the manufacturers of parts. They run out of marketing dollars before the end of the year. You might be doing a fall race as opposed to a January race. You don't want to milk them too terribly dry. And who knows, somebody might have beat you to the punch on that. But just on the local level, we try and focus it on the local level as well as industry-specific folks, brands and non-industry specific folks. And just to kind of list out real quick, it's, of course, the go-to are hobby shops. If you've got one close by, they tend to want to give you parts or that gift certificate piece. But don't forget about restaurants, hotels, especially if it's going to be a regional type of thing or a statewide thing. You're going to be bringing in pilots. Hotels are always great to ally with. Restaurants are always great because everybody's got to eat somewhere, and they're real quick to give you discounts or certificates to give away. We actually teamed up with Taco Mac near the corporate office out of Atlanta, and they gave us like hundreds of dollars in gift cards just to give out, so it was great. The printing companies are good, technology stores. We've teamed up with micro centers, Fry's, anything that it can kind of parallel to drone racing as far as the technology is concerned. A lot of electronic stores like that kind of thing. We've teamed up with internet service providers, technology consulting firms, and even car dealerships. So, believe it or not. But anybody have any questions about local stuff?
Well, you mentioned your PDF packet. I was curious. I mean, are you cold calling these people, or are you?
So we do a combination of. I've amassed a distribution list, email-wise. We actually get inquiries on our website to have a website. So I don't know if you've got a social media presence or a website, and actually put out there. We're looking for sponsors to help support us as a club or the actual races. If you've got one scheduled, then it's easier to kind of relate it to that. We try to be involved in some organizational type of things with like AUVSI, the Autonomous Unmanned Vehicle Systems International Group, other type of drone or RC control AMA clubs. If you're not an AMA club, that's another avenue. And so it's a lot of times networking. But I will absolutely, without a doubt, cold call, knock on doors. You never know. I mean, you beat enough doors down, somebody's going to say, well, what's that? I didn't know they race drones. That's usually the way it starts off. I'll say, absolutely they do. Matter of fact, I've got a URL for you to go to. Go check out our drone race. And they're like, holy smokes, this is crazy.
Okay, second question.
Yep.
So you've got your interested party now. Do you have specific, this is what I'm asking
Exactly,
for?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So what you want to try and do, part of the reasoning behind doing the platinum, gold, is kind of have a menu and break it up based on affordable brackets. And what you want is low cost. I mean, literally as cheap as $100 or $50. We even have some that are $50. I mean, almost anybody can afford that's in business that wants some sort of notoriety or association with drone racing or a unique and unusual event is going to give you $50. I mean, that'll be cash almost every single time. And if you can do 10 of those or more of those, that adds up. And it doesn't take much from that standpoint. So anyway, to answer your question, you want to kind of have a menu is pick from. Try not to make it overly complex. The KISS method is the best method. I don't know if any of y'all saw what Chris had as far as his sponsorship package from MultiGP for this event, it was pretty much structured the same way. It was platinum, gold, silver, I think is what he had outlined. And it was, this is the price, this is what you get, Here, that's the ROI that they look for. Industry brands and non-industry brands. Of course, everybody goes to the drone and drone parts manufacturers. They're getting milked like cattle in a field from this standpoint. And, they're willing and able to a certain degree, but don't be shy about approaching non-industry related. Every town's got some sort of notable industry or close by in some way, shape, or form of some technology-based company or a product. I mean, my gosh, we've had some notable events. Shoe company has done it. Insurance companies have sponsored events. I mean, you name it. Don't be shy about just asking. And all they got to do, more often than not, it creates some intrigue and you create a dialogue, and it may not be fitting for that particular event, but circle back to them after you've kind of chummed it up in their mind. You planting those seeds, that's the key. So don't get too discouraged by being turned down for the sponsorship. Keep them on your list, because you never know when, hey, you know what, my son bought a drone and he's trying to go out there and race. I've heard that story as well. And they turn into supporters. So you never know when they're going to support. So sunglasses, watch, clothing, restaurant chain, car manufacturers, military, airlines. We've seen all of those jump in the game and be a part of that. So, on the flip side of organizing the sponsorship package into levels and pricing and what you're going to deliver is the compliance piece. In other words, they're going to want to know, what'd you do with my products? What'd you do with my money? And so you want to be a good steward and show some sort of evidence to that. And that's the toughest part, because you're right in the core of running the event, and that's why it's good to have a directors or support group that is dedicated to the success of the club, but also the event. You need somebody that is a compliance officer. Hey, I'm here to deliver and make sure that we hit our points on whatever that we're saying that we're going to do for that particular sponsor. Otherwise, hey, they're like anything else. You ignore them and they will go away. There's no doubt about it. Yeah, but if you pay attention to them, good, bad, or ugly, in some situations the digital clicks and responses aren't always what you want them to be. But you know what, if you're upfront and say, hey, here's what we're going to do better next time. Or maybe the event got rained out. I mean, to actually talk about it and kind of own up to it, they understand. They've been a part of life too. But if you totally ignore it, then it creates a major, rub. In other words, so so photo, video, stats, those things always help out. And if you can post them, if you got a social media account, post, maybe some pilots in front of that particular sponsor banner, or, you got kids wearing Fat Shark goggles and Fat Shark, or whoever the goggle manufacturer is that's helping you out. Always is good stuff. So it's a PR thing, just like Mike would say, is you got to represent their brands and their things. So any questions on that? No? Anybody have any struggles? Yes?
I just want to add to your question about coming up with a cost. Is really about your production costs, understanding what it costs you to put on that event.
Exactly.
Run your club. Yep. Based on that production cost, then you'll know how much you need to ask for. You can divvy up your plans and your packages. That has worked for us in the past.
So I try to keep it a little high level because I had 15 minutes allocated, but there is more to it than that, right? In essence, just like you said, you have to kind of reverse engineer it and see, well, how much are the banners that I'm going to have to produce? If I'm doing t-shirts, if I'm doing lanyards, whatever, how big? And you have to scale it too. If it's just a local small thing and you're not doing a regional or a finals type of thing, you have to scale it according to that. But you can raise money for even those small little club events. I've done it. I've got routine sponsors that give us money no matter what we do, or products no matter what we do, period. All I got to do is call them. Hey, we're having an event this weekend. You know, okay, all right, here it is. You come pick it up, and they already know that I'm going to take pictures, I'm going to do video, I'm going to make sure we do shout-outs online, that kind of stuff. So, did you have a question?
Well, it wasn't specifically for you, it's probably more for Michael, but can we get those slides uploaded?
Yeah, we'll post them up. Yeah.
Yeah.
It says especially a lot of really good information.
Yeah.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, I did. And I probably already know the answer to this, but when you're soliciting your sponsors, is it highly personalized to each one of them? Like, for example, in my week attempts, I have a form letter and I cast a big net.
Yeah, right.
And I've had varying levels of success.
Yep.
So curious.
We try and personalize as much as we can, right? But there's, you know, a terminal end to that. Depends on how many are in your list, in essence. You can do mail merge programs, but I mean, you know, the cat's out of the bag if they're getting it from Constant Contact. You know, it doesn't matter if it says their name in there. So, you know.
Personalizing is very time consuming.
Here's the thing.
It depends on the sponsor. Are they worth
Exactly. The ROI for your time, money, and resource. The other thing is too so a lot of times what we'll do, and Daniel is my partner with the Drone Racing Club and the brand manager for the Drone Racing Club stuff. So I mean, he designed part of the logo for this T-shirt and stuff. But the whole idea is targeting. I think more so than anything else is, hey, what we do is we dream up a list based on what the event is and try and figure out. We throw in there who the obvious targets are, and literally we do research to figure out who's the marketing rep or a CEO or vice president, somebody in the upper echelon that has the potential of making the decision or influencing the decision.
Find them on LinkedIn. That helps.
LinkedIn is a huge resource, I got to tell you.
Not so much. LinkedIn feels more serious. You know, you can private message.
Yep.
It just has more weight to it.
Yep.
And have your page. So
yeah, your profile and your website.
Go to it, you know, your club information is there, or you know, I'm the head of this club or whatever, just so it's consistent with what you're asking for.
Correct. So you want your you know. No time's a perfect time. You're never going to have your profile perfectly set up, and maybe all your bios are not set up. It doesn't matter. The thing is initiative, right? Just get out there and do something. Honestly, a packet is a good asset to add to your tool set for collecting sponsorship. Nothing's a better substitute than your individual self selling yourself, selling the club, in person or on the phone. I mean, I've picked up phones and called everybody in the industry you would not believe. I got a nice list of those folks, and they know me. I'll call them, and it doesn't matter. And if nothing else, I'll just chat with them. What's going on in your industry? That's the other thing, is start the conversation off with, hey, it's about you first. Let me find out something about you. What's new? Any new products coming out? I'm just curious. Well, the other reason I was calling you is, hey, maybe it's a good opportunity to promote the new product if it's coming out, right? You want to kind of do a tie-in. But also, you know, I'm just chatting with them too, on top of that. And they're more apt to be inclined to listen to you if you're interested in their story first. You know what I mean? So it is a little bit of a salesy thing, but it's psychology too, though, right?
When you mention LinkedIn, are you creating a company page for?
Yes.
Yeah, you have to create your company page and your personal. Contact them personally, but then when they go to your profile, when they see what you're following, they'll see that the club's there. They go to the club's page in LinkedIn, they'll see the information, who belongs to it. If several of you belong to it, you know, go ahead and be part of it as a company.
Well, would you suggest two profiles then? Because I've got my professional, you know, profile that's completely.
It doesn't matter. Yeah, I mean,
so. I use my professional profile as a designer, and I have the DRC as a company, so I approach, and I have the DRC as, you know, I'm the brand director, so it shows the DRC and that I'm part of it, so it's consistent with what I'm talking about.
So you don't have to have you know, I mean, you don't have to have the title of, hey, I'm the director of that club or anything like that. A lot of people don't have that in their, I mean, you know, just like we were talking about operational maturity wise, is not everybody has the benefit of going full time into this in that regard. So it's not required. The main thing is they want to know you're a real person and you've had a profile for a little while, consistency and validation. So it is good if you have a club that has a website or at least a Facebook you know, page at the minimum. that they can go find out some more information about you, watch some videos, that kind of thing. So we do some video injections. You know, here's an example of a race. Here's an example of sponsorship, that type of thing. And short and sweet, to the point. If you're going to send out an email or a piece of mail or a postcard or something like that, short and sweet, to the point. The whole idea is to intrigue them enough to hopefully, you know, ping you back. So the email cold distribution is kind of tough, though. Small percentages on reply, but you'd be surprised. I mean, we've snagged some pretty decent size folks.
It works better when you send it out.
That type of stuff is not going to sell itself. You have to really kind of sell it, especially if they don't know drone racing and they're not industry specific. So, but it makes some intriguing conversations, I will say, without a doubt. Yep. So that's it. All right. Thank you. Appreciate it.